Welcome to Mika Amcha Yisrael. I'd like to ask you a question. What truly draws us closer to Borei Olam, giving or taking? Our instinct says giving, after all, in human relationships. Love deepens when we give. Parents, for example, pour themselves into their children, their time, their energy, their care. And it's precisely that giving that makes their love so boundless. But this week's Parashat Tavo reveals something strikingly different about our relationship with Kudshu Barichu. The Torah commands, "Lakachta mireshit kol pri adama," and you shall take of the first of your fruits of the soil. Notice the word "velakachta," take. Why would closeness to Borei Olam come not through giving but through taking? The answer is profound. With human beings, giving builds because we invest a piece of ourselves into another. But with Borei Olam, we can't give him anything he doesn't already have. The only way to form a relationship is to recognize how much he gives us, to take his berachot with open eyes and open hearts, and let the hakarat hatov, the gratitude, ignite the love. That's why the mitzvah of bikurim begins with bringing the very first fruits. The farmer looks at his basket and declares, "All of this comes from you." By taking with acknowledgement, by receiving with humility, he transforms what could have been a self-satisfied harvest into a moment of connection with the divine. And this isn't just fruit, it's about life. Every breath, every day, every success is a gift. And we're meant to notice that. The more deeply we train ourselves to appreciate, the more deeply we end up loving Borei Olam. Taking becomes a spiritual act when it's wrapped in gratitude. And perhaps this is why, as we approach the Yamim Noraim, Borei Olam, he doesn't give us brand new lives filled with brand new questions. He often places before us the same challenges, the same type of opportunities, but hopes that this time we'll respond differently with a deeper appreciation and greater clarity. Allow me to share a story, a true story by way of example. Albert Einstein was known for brilliance, but also for surprise. One crisp morning at the University of Zurich, he entered his lecture hall with a quiet intensity. In his hand was a thick stack of exam papers. The students were sitting up straight, ready to go, and everyone knew Einstein's exams were legendary, as challenging as his theories. A nervous buzz swept around the classroom as each one placed their test down in front of them on the desk. "Begin," he instructed softly. The students flipped over the first page and then froze. A ripple of shock moved from row to row. Whispers filled the air. Eyes were widened. They weren't new questions at all. They were identical to last year's final exam. Confusion clouded the room, but there was no choice. Pens hit the paper and the students began to write, their minds racing with both frustration and determination. Later that afternoon, Einstein left the hall, his exams in hand, and he walked into the faculty lounge, and a group of professors were gathered around him, and they were curious. One noticed the familiar test packet and asked, almost incredulous, "Albert, what are you testing them on this time?" The professor started to flip through the questions, then look up in disbelief. He says, "Wait a second. These are the same questions you gave this class last year. They're the same students. Why would you possibly do that?" Einstein leaned back in his chair. His eyes twinkled with mischief, and with that famous knowing smile, he says, "Because this year, I'm hoping for different answers." He explained, the questions haven't changed, but the students have. In a year, their knowledge should deepen. Their perspective of the answers, they shouldn't be the same. It should shift. It simply means that they haven't grown if they don't change. But if they've truly engaged, their answers will reflect maturity, transformation, and progress. That's what I'm looking for. For Einstein, the exam was never really about formulas on a page, so to speak. It was about life itself. Growth meant facing the same questions, but with new eyes, with a deeper understanding. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Elul. The mitzvah of bikurim teaches us the lakachta, take. Take the blessings Borei Olam has already poured into your life. Take the gifts he's already placed at your doorstep. But take them with eyes that are open, with hearts that are grateful, with souls that yearn to grow, because taking with gratitude is how we build love. As Rosh Hashanah approaches, the heavenly court, they're not going to hand us new questions. They're going to place before us the same ones as last year. Will you use your days wisely? Will you rise above anger and jealousy? Will you choose Torah, Chesed, and Emet? The questions, they won't change. But Borei Olam is waiting to see if we have. If Einstein could expect more from his students in a single year, how much more does the Creator of eternity expect from his children? Gifted with the breath of life itself, this year, let us not hand in the same tired exam. Let us hand in answers etched with sincerity, answers alive with change, answers written in the ink of faith and akarat hatov, gratitude. And when we do, may Borei Olam look upon us and say, my child, this is exactly the new set of answers I was looking for. Shabbat shalom and mivorach.